Hey everybody, welcome to Happy Plate. The story that I have for you today is going to take us to Colombia. I'm going to tell you about the haunted Hotel del Salto. Not only am I going to tell you about some of the deaths and things that happened at this hotel to make it haunted, but I'm also going to tell you the dark history of the land that the hotel sits on. And this is some really dark stuff that occurred hundreds of years before the hotel was even built. So stick around, this is a really good one. And for our meal today, we're going to be eating cheeseburgers that were made by my sister, of course, and potato salad. We have some pasta salad. We are kind of pushing for spring, I guess.
Pick up food.
All right, so grab a snack, come join us. Let's take first bites together. Mmm. Mmm. I love cheeseburgers. So good. All right, let's have some potato salad. Mmm. This tastes like summer. I like egg in my potato salad.
Me too.
Yay or nay, people, egg in your potato salad? Did I ever mention how much I love burgers? The Hotel del Salto is built alongside a cliff over the Bogota River in Colombia. And across the way from this hotel is the Tequendama Falls. And this massive waterfall is actually where our story begins. So in the 1500s, when the Spanish forces were trying to take over South America, the Muisca people, who were the natives to that area in Colombia, they were trying to avoid the Spanish military. And in order to do that, they would often run to the edge of the cliff of this massive waterfall, and they would leap over the edge. But they weren't really trying to kill themselves. They actually had this belief that on their way down, they would transform into an eagle and they would fly away. Just think of the number of people who went over that waterfall, right?
Yeah.
Just across the way from this waterfall is like the perfect spot to build the new up and coming hot spot of a hotel. So this architect builds this massive mansion into the cliffs. And I mean, like, the foundation of the hotel it looks like the side of the cliff, but with really tall windows. Just to let you guys know too, Hotel del Salto actually translates to Hotel of the Leap. So clearly the guy who built this, like obviously knew the legends and the stories behind this area.
Make it like an attraction.
Exactly. So once he completed the construction of this hotel, it was like the hot spot. It was the scene for all of like the massive parties and all the functions. It stayed that way for the entire decade until we got into the 30s, and of course the Depression hit, and the guests started kind of dwindling down. There weren't as many events. But the hotel did remain open for a while. The business was not very good, but it still stayed open. And through the decades since its opening, there have been like numerous people who have leapt to their death No one really knows the reasons why, if it was suicide, if someone pushed them over, but there were just many people who were falling from the balconies and ending up in the river below, or they would just jump off the edge of the cliff on the property. And it was so bad to the point where anytime a guest checked in, they would have to give a warning. They would actually give the guests a warning and tell them, make sure you stay close to the hotel, don't wander off, don't get too close to the cliff. And then one year, there was actually a guest who was staying at the hotel, and he murdered a young woman. She was actually like a very elite socialite for the time, and he murdered her like brutally to the point where her blood was just like splattered all over the room. Between all of the deaths plus the murder and the history of the Muisca people and them leaping over the edge of the waterfall, this land has seen so much death. The hotel remained open, but just barely. There were plans to like renovate it, and the foundation ended up starting to rot. So the foundation wasn't in any condition for them to follow through with any renovations. It kind of just sat there until the 90s, which, I mean, that's still pretty good that they made it to the 1990s, but eventually they had to close the doors. So let me tell you some of the stories of different happenings that people and guests encountered there. So it was often said that you could hear screams coming from the hotel if you were walking around the property. You could hear faint crying, objects moving, and then the weirdest one is people have reported that they could hear multiple people speaking to each other in like a native tongue, and it was a language that they didn't understand. So a lot of people think that was the ghosts of the Muisca people. All right, let's just take a quick food break. I'm gonna take my last bite. All right, my belly's happy now, so I can move on with the story. So another thing that was weird was the river that this hotel sat above. Used to be really lush and like green and full of, you know, plant life. And over the years, it got so polluted and so dirty that it developed this stench. And the stench became so incredibly bad that it was like unbearable to be outside to smell it. Which is another thing that's kind of weird because
It's a river?
Well, you know when there's like paranormal activity, there's like weird scents that come along with it.
Sulfur.
Yeah, like that sulfur smell. So it's just kind of weird that the river developed like such a bad smell to it too.
Those rivers are always moving, so you would think.
I know. And there's a massive waterfall too,
Right.
you know, right there. But they say that the river was so toxic in some areas that no life could survive. Like no plant life, no animals like fish or anything.
Uninhabitable.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
That's weird.
In the years after the Hotel del Salto became abandoned, the only people who really ever went there were squatters and of course ghost hunters for, you know, to research paranormal activity there. But then finally in 2011, a national university in Colombia along with the Ecological Farm Foundation actually put a bid to buy the abandoned hotel. So after they purchased it, it went through a renovation. They weren't gonna open it as a hotel again, but they wanted it to be like a cultural hub, so they turned it into a museum. And in 2013, the museum opened with its first exhibit, and it's actually open still today, and it's like beautiful.
Did they block off like everything so you can't go anywhere near the cliffs and stuff?
No, it's still open, sort of like, like the property immediately surrounding the hotel. Because if you see pictures of it, it is like the cliff going straight into the formation of the bottom of the hotel with very, very little property on the side. And the front side of the hotel is the road.
How do people get in?
There's still like entrances from the street. I'll show you pictures.
Okay.
It's pretty amazing actually. It's insane from the hotel across the way, seeing the massive waterfalls. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's really sad it sat for so long empty. But If you check out the website for the museum now, it has like updated pictures and all the stuff that they're doing, and they really do a lot. They do stuff with like different organizations and nature reserves and schools and kids, and it's really cool. Their website doesn't really mention a whole lot about the haunted years, but
yeah, of course.
But you can, if you Google it, there's so much you can find. It's really cool. Thanks so much for joining us so I could tell you about the Hotel del Salto and the massive suicide site that accompanied this hotel, and to hear about all of the haunted happenings there. Today I only made one happy plate, but my sister made like 4 pounds of potatoes and a pound of pasta, and most of it ended up on my plate, so I'm not gonna finish all that today. We're gonna wrap up this fun size episode because we are going to watch Permission to Dance replay in a few minutes, but always time and always room for our cookie. Make sure you subscribe to Happy Plate so you can listen to the great story that we have in store for you next week, and give us a thumbs up while you're at it.